This is a video review of Ray Comfort's latest documentary, 180, where he attempts to try to convince his audience to go against abortion by comparing it to the Holocaust and all that stuff. This is a classic abortion is comparable to the Holocaust argument that many pro-lifers use when they're trying to argue against abortion. Now, this is actually a review of the film. And this is actually me reading off a Facebook note I wrote. Some people have actually asked me to do a video on this, so I thought I would actually go ahead and make the video. If you actually read the note, this video is not going to tell you anything new. This video is just me reading off the notes as to my opinions on the Ray Comfort documentary. Now, before I go into the review itself, let me give you a little disclaimer. My disclaimer. When it comes to the issue of abortion, I make it very clear. I am pro-life. I make no apologies on that when it comes to that issue. Yeah, yes, granted, there like certain situations, I can understand why people would get upset and emotional, and then the situational ethics gets complicated. I understand that. That being said, this video is not a defense of the pro-life position, nor is it an argument against abortion. Because regardless as to how one feels about for or against abortion, the documentary Ray Comfort has made is not a pretty good one, in my opinion, and I'm going to explain why in this entire video. So I'm going to get started. It's just me reading the note. So if you've already read the note, this video is not going to tell you anything new. So to start off, my thoughts, my impressions of Ray Comfort's 180. Let's get started. Recently, on September 26, 2011, the infamous Protestant evangelical preacher Ray Comfort has released a documentary titled 180, where he attempts to argue that abortion is comparable to the Jewish Holocaust carried out by the Nazis during World War II. Comfort's goal with the film is to convince his audience to change their mind on the issue of abortion with the tactic of having them do a 180, hence the title, on abortion, by bringing in the issue of genocide of millions of people, such as Jews, Catholics, homosexuals, etc., during the Nazis' genocidal campaign, and with Hitler's goal to take over the world. In this review, I will not cover every single aspect of the film, as the film itself uses a lot of rhetorical strategies to attempt to persuade the audience to go against abortion. To make it extremely clear from the get-go, on the issue of abortion, and I said this earlier in the video, I am pro-life, and I make absolutely no apologies about that. I actually agree with Ray Comfort's position that abortion, as an intrinsic act in of itself, is an immoral act, because similar to the death penalty, and I am against the death penalty, is immoral, because similar to the death penalty, it takes away the life of a person, which in the case of abortion is the life of a person, unborn person in the womb. The reason I make this disclaimer from the get-go, because I do not want to give people the impression that I am criticizing Ray Comfort's film because I have this agenda to make abortion an immoral act, or that I support the act of abortion itself, or that I would consider myself pro-choice side of the debate. While I am pro-life, I do recognize the situational ethics that are involved when it comes to specific cases such as rape, incest, and life of the mother. While I do feel that pro-life arguments, while complicated arguments, I admit, can be made in regards to those specific situations, the purpose of this review is not, I repeat, not to argue for pro-life or against abortion, or to argue that an unborn fetus is a person, but to strictly review Ray Comfort's film 180. To begin this review, let me first explain the positives of this film. which I would argue are very few, but I'll point them out anyway. The first thing I felt that this film did a good job of was its production values. Ignoring for now the propagandistic nature of his presentation, one can see that Comfort and his crew put a lot of effort into their presentation. Nothing was said was unclear, nor was there any miscommunication as to what they were arguing. The green screen that is used to make Comfort's point is put into good use, and the audience automatically can see what Comfort is attempting to do. Another positive thing I can say about the film is that Comfort does make valid points regarding the casual attitude people have towards abortion. Abortion, I would argue, is not an issue that people should be taken lightly, especially when we have some people comparing it to a headache or inconvenience similar to a tumor. But an issue of whether or not is an issue about whether or not abortion constitutes the killing of an innocent life. That is why I believe abortion is an important issue in our society. Abortion is an issue that needs to be taken seriously. And I do feel that Ray Comfort, in that aspect, does make a valid point in regards to showcasing people's casual attitude towards the issue of abortion. However, with that said and done, whether or not you agree with that, whether or not you agree with abortion, whether or not you're pro-choice or pro-life, that's irrelevant. The film itself suffers from great noticeable flaws. I'm going to point out just the big major flaw with this film. The major flaw that I have with Comfort's film is that its central argument is a non sequitur. The first 14 minutes of the film is Comfort interviewing various people and asking them about the Holocaust and Hitler. What follows is mind-numbing stupidity, as the majority of the people Comfort interviews claims to either have never heard of Hitler or vaguely remember him. Either this is evidence that Comfort has actors playing people who are this historically illiterate, purposely picked people this historically illiterate in order to try and make his argument work, or that he really did interview people this historically illiterate. I'm going to play a clip of what I'm talking about right here.
Adolf Hitler, what do you know about him?
He was what's it called? But he was kind of a president.
What do you know about Adolf Hitler?
I really don't know anything about it.
Have you heard of Adolf Hitler?
No.
Never heard of him?
No.
I vaguely remember him.
I question the idea that people in everyday life would be this historically illiterate, especially considering the story of Hitler, the Nazis, and the Holocaust has entered our everyday language and culture. For example, when someone calls you Hitler, they're basically calling you evil. However, for the sake of the argument, we are going to grant Comfort that people can be this historically illiterate and that these interviews were not staged, which I doubt, but for the sake of argument, we're going to grant that they were legitimate. How does people being ignorant about the horrors of the Holocaust follow that they must believe that abortion is on the same level? To attempt to supplement these interviews, Comfort attempts to bring in an interview with an anti-Semitic neo-Nazi named Steve, and using him as a rhetorical framework to bring up Comfort's claim that Hitler hated the Ten Commandments, hated Christianity, and used that as a motivating factor in carrying out the Holocaust. Being that I'm not an expert on World War II history, I will not attempt to say whether or not that Comfort's claim regarding Hitler in this aspect are accurate. Nevertheless, I'm going to grant Comfort's claim strictly for the sake of the argument. Comfort then, after supplementing the audience with these interviews and these claims about Hitler, along with graphic images of dead bodies from Holocaust, brings up two rhetorical questions to his audience, which are the following. And in these questions, I'm paraphrasing these questions. So, his first question is: if you can go back in time and kill Hitler while he was still in his mother's womb, would you kill him so he couldn't have the opportunity to carry out mass genocide? And the second question is: if someone put a gun to your head and told you to bury Jews alive, would you do it? Or would you attempt to save the Jews? Once Comfort brings these points up, he then suddenly sneaks in the topic of abortion and attempts to ask the audience, in this case the people he interviews, who are being interviewed, how their attitudes about the Holocaust is suddenly not the same for abortion. The problem I have with this tactic is that while Comfort's point about the attitude of abortion is valid, where people are having this casual attitude towards abortion, it's a non sequitur to argue the Holocaust is wrong, therefore abortion is wrong. Comfort presents this to the interviewees, but he does not present a convincing argument as to why they should believe abortion is on the same level as the Holocaust. To get a better understanding of why I see this as a fallacious argument, let me present Comfort's argument, at least how I understand it, in syllogistic form. Premise 1. State-sanctioned genocide with the Holocaust is morally wrong. Premise 2. Abortion is state-sanctioned genocide. And conclusion, abortion is morally wrong. Now, before my fellow pro-lifers jump on my neck about how I'm wrong about this argument being fallacious, let me first unpack my argument. Syllogistically, if we're looking at it in deductive form, this syllogism is valid, but is not sound, because premise 2 is problematic, as in barely, if at all, supported. Comfort does not successfully support premise 2 because he's not adequately explained to his audience why abortion is on the same plane as state-sanctioned genocide. Comfort irresponsibly jumps from one topic, then jumps to another, and expects his audience to automatically see how state-sanctioned genocide and abortion, or more accurately, the pro-choice option, is on the same playing field. It does not help that Comfort has disingenuously gotten his interviewees to be placed in a state of mind about a particular topic, in this case the Holocaust and the idea of state-sanctioned genocide, in order to get them to think about the topic of abortion, which clouds one's thinking regarding the particular topic because it does not allow time for one to really think through the morality of a specific topic. Another problem is that Comfort does not adequately explain why one should be against abortion if one is against state-sanctioned genocide. The main central issue of this whole abortion controversy, when you really break it down to its bare essential questions, is the question of whether or not an unborn baby at any stage of the pregnancy is a person. I argue that it is, but that's an argument for a different time. I'm not going to go into it here. Ray Comfort does not address this question. According to the pro-choice argument, an unborn baby is not a person. And to even make the sound comparison between abortion and state-sanctioned genocide, you must first convince the pro-choicer that an unborn baby is a person. This is why I believe that Ray Comfort's central argument is a non sequitur. Even if we granted Ray Comfort's comparison, why should one ought to be against abortion if that person doesn't believe an unborn baby is a person? That being said, Ray Comfort's film isn't entirely useless. It does make valid points regarding people's attitude about the issue of abortion. However, because Ray Comfort's main argument falls flat, I cannot recommend this film, even to people who are pro-life. Other and better sources that support the pro-life position are out there. Ray Comfort's film is not one of them. Thank you for watching.